I don't need to talk about certain things that others would talk about, like, you know what I mean, doing drugs and all this stuff 24/7. I wanted to talk about, you know what I mean, like something that actually matters to our generation. Like, people are disconnected, you know what I mean? People are not really communicating with each other unless it's online, and that's crazy to me. The Chirpin record is something that I feel embodied the new sound and glued everything together. Shout out to Rocky, the producer on it. It was one of those things where I wanted to go outside of myself and feel a little bit more current than I usually am, because a lot of times I pull myself back from what's going on and a lot of the noise, because I see it every day. As an artist, I feel like it's your job to challenge like the status quo, like, and I see what's popular and I want to change that. And in order to do that in a meaningful way, you have to take from it. So I feel like I wanted to have more of a current flow, you know what I mean? Like the rolling flow, some triplet stuff, you know what I mean? Shout out to the Migos. But like stuff like that, so that I could actually, you know, cast a wider net, but at the same time, keep it 100% me. After making that song and getting into working with Payday, I had played that for them, and you know what I mean, we had talked about how important it would be of a record to put out as more of a statement than certain things that were a little bit insular at the time, that are still on the project, but may not have cast that net. So I think that it's been good to work with them in order to see what I didn't see in myself, because a lot of times it's hard to see yourself, right? Like I make this music in the studio with like 2 other guys present, and fuck president. Anyway, Adrian Nunez is instrumental in terms of my opinion of Payday. And I think that we had a lot of good music conversations in which I walk into the room, I walk into a meeting, and I know that he's understanding where I'm coming from. So furthering those conversations and playing all these records and playing Chirpin as one of them, I felt like we both agreed that it was a good statement. I feel like my music spans farther than the South, or like farther than West Coast, East Coast. And I feel like it's a futuristic soul, as I've mentioned before. I also have, it's been coined as like dream rap, or cloud rap. Even on, if you look at some Twitter comment, hey. Mississippi is definitely a huge part of my like history and my growing up, but just as well as New Orleans, because my family was split. My parents are divorced, so a lot of my time was spent in New Orleans just as much as it was in Mississippi. I would fly back and et cetera, just to make sure that I'm keeping up with, you know, people that I grew up with. I don't think Mississippi's like bad totally. I just think there's some bad eggs that still control some of, you know, the policies and, you know, the mindsets of the people. Katrina impacted my life in multiple ways. It detached me from this identity of not being an artist. I actually wasn't into the music that I was playing. I was in band, I played trombone. My mom also sang opera. My dad also like had done stuff in music. So I was always introduced to music, but I kind of didn't like it until after Katrina hit. I feel like I associated myself as an artist, because whenever you like move, if you're a new kid in any type of environment, you get to paint your own narrative. What do these people have to compare it to? Nothing, you know what I mean? And because of that, I was able to like identify myself as an artist. I was like more of a producer at the time. I had a little Korg beat machine, so I would like beat on like, it was actually very trash, but shout out to my pops for like giving me that. But I would like make loops essentially, because I couldn't make actual songs. I would just make loops for my friends and they would like rap over it. And then I was like, okay, I actually care about music in this way because it's the way that people tell stories. So I started making records when I first got to Mississippi. Like I said, I was on the beat machine. And after that, I started going to laptop. And I actually made a whole mixtape that like I recorded, and I used to sell it at school. So I sold it for like 10 bucks. I remember my mom like one time, like, cause I was excited, I was like, thought I was stunned. I came back with like $100. She was like, where'd you get this? I was like, I'm selling CDs now, Mom, like for real. And she would always see me, cause we had a basement in the house that we moved into after my grandmother's house. where I would actually make these beats. So she would have to like come downstairs and like get me to go to bed, because like I would literally sneak down there. I didn't have speakers, so like I would just be doing it off the laptop, and I had a little mic. In 2010, I met a group of people that were like-minded as me, and we formed kind of a group. We called ourselves TFG. It was like a collective where we all were churning out projects and making cool music. After that, I started doing some shows. I met my current manager today, Chris. We went on some shows in my like dusty Honda Element. We wound up going to LA for kind of like a record deal situation where I was unfamiliar with the type of scene. Pretty much every day I would go to the studio, work on a new record with a new producer, and then go home and literally just write to tracks. Like I didn't really hit up anybody, like literally wrote to tracks every day. And that turned into an album. I wound up not doing any type of deal because I just didn't feel like I was ready. Didn't do a deal, and then wound up putting out what is the first project, is Floating While Dreaming, the first commercial project. Yeah, after that, a lot of it is history. I think my relationship with money is an interesting one. I'm about like breaking bread with others that I grew up with, and that's what's most important to me now. And that's what I mean, like money got me nervous. It's like I could splurge this on myself, but what does it really mean at the end of the day? Like how many people did I put on? What else did I say? I'd rather buy a bottle. You know what I mean? Fuck bottle service. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather just chill with my homies instead of going out to meet new friends or fickle people that, you know what I mean, are clout demons. Like, what does it mean to like spend all that money? Like, does that mean like you're cool? Like, I feel like in hip hop, definitely, we always associate success with monetary value or like how many units sold or how many, like, no other genre does that. Like, I don't know why we have such a strong like fixation on why that, like, we need this. We need people that are like flooded with money, but they're not giving it to their communities. Instead, they're like throwing it on somebody's ass. Like that makes no sense to me. So the new project, Girasoul, is coming out with Payday, Payday/Pell LLC. Girasoul, the actual word is Spanish for sunflower, and it's spelled Girasol, but I added the U because I felt like musically it's a very soulful project. I don't think that I make soul music, but I do think that this is as soulful as I get in certain like realms of like what is Pell. Like I mean, I'm very versatile in how I approach things, but I feel like the nucleus of this has a soulful feeling. It's been something that I've been working on for 1.5 years, ever since I got off my first headlining tour in February and March of 2016. I immediately got to work with one of my main collaborators, Billy DeLellis. We had like 12-hour sessions back to back at Pulse Studios. I think that the collaborators who are also in the project, Rocky and Imad Royal, and shout out to Saba and Verite, crazy. And I feel like meaningful to the project. One of my favorite songs on Girasoul is Throwback, and it's featuring Saba, great artist from Chicago. That's hands down one of the best songs I feel like of this year. Straight up.